Henry Cejudo versus Merab Dvalishvili does not feel right. Do you agree? It's just a true-false statement. I just want a yes or no. Dvalishvili versus Cejudo doesn't feel right. True or false? Doesn't feel like they're fighting. I mean, if I was to go back 2 months ago, I could not bring up a statement by Dvalishvili, who looked like he was possibly going to go right into #1 contendership. He was possibly going to carve Cheeto Vera out of it. He was possibly going to slide in right against Sean. But either way, I could not find an interview and or a statement and or a social media post by Merab that did not involve Cejudo. And 2 months ago, there was all sorts of directions for Cejudo, including retirement. And retirement almost looked like the leading candidate back then, because Cejudo was all, just championship or bust. And then looked like Sterling was going to leave the division, win or lose against Sean. It looked like that Sterling was going to leave division. I'm just trying to set the table for you, set a feel for you guys what 2 months ago was like, but you still could not see an interview that didn't pertain Merab Dvalishvili if Henry was the one being interviewed. And now, I guess they're fighting. I mean, I guess I heard that somewhere. I definitely did not hear it from Merab, and I definitely did not hear it from Henry. And that's not to say that they didn't say it. I'm personalizing this. I didn't hear it from either one of them, but somebody says that they're fighting. I don't know if that's a main event fight. I don't know if that's on a pay-per-view or if that's on a different offering. And it would be important to me. If it was on a pay-per-view, the pay-per-views do have their main events all set. One's got Sugar Sean in it. One's got Sean O'Malley in it. One's got Volkanovski in it. 300 is just left to wait. But right off the top of my head, so if they're going on to a pay-per-view, they're not going to go for 5 rounds. And 5 rounds is a very different fight. If you were to break down Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo, like, all right, you got to bet. You got to put $100. You have to, one way or the other. And then you'd make your bet, right? Like, you're not sure on that one. That's a really interesting fight. That's really got some close X's and O's. But if I then gave you a different piece of information that it was 5 rounds versus 3 rounds, had you considered the other way when you first put your $100 down, you might want to move it to the other side. So finding out where that fight is would be relevant. And the fact that it's been announced tells me that it's a pay-per-view and that it's not all 5. In fact, it's probably even the Sugar Sean pay-per-view if you go in line with putting a feature match the same card as you're going to put your title match. You see that detective work? You see how I just broke all of that down? What a great job by me. But it still doesn't feel like those two are fighting. How come? How come I could go back and find so much heat between the two of them? And it was peculiarly, or it was equally as peculiar, that when Merab would do interviews, he would just happen to mention Henry. And when Henry would do interviews, he would also happen to mention Merab. But Merab never went directly for Henry. It was very much an afterthought. And when Henry would give his rebuke, Henry also never went right after Merab. It was also very much an afterthought. Now, in all fairness, it's the match that should have been made. There was reasons that nobody was going to get in front of Cheeto. There was reasons that the right match to make was Cheeto versus Sean, which finally did get made. But you could see why Merab wouldn't be going after that. He's won like 7 or 8 in a row. There's reasons that Merab would keep his options open, but adversely, there was reasons that Cejudo understood. Having been given the opportunities that I have been given within this weight class, I'm going to have to go and do something else. And so they found each other, and I'm all for it. It just doesn't feel like they're getting ready to fight.